and happy new year. Today, as the new year begins, depending on, of course, your time zone, we have the moon in Capricorn, but soon after the official new year, the moon shifts into Aquarius and joins up with Pluto. Pluto, the planet of truth and power, transformation, deeper truth, things coming to light from where they have been in the shadows. So let's take a little peek at what that will look like for 2025. And since Pluto is on our minds here, it's the first full year of Pluto in Aquarius. I'm Marina Orms here with your Astro Vibe for January 1st, 2025, and so happy to be here with you. So as I mentioned, I find it really interesting that we've had this theme over the last 2 years, really, of Pluto shifting from Capricorn to Aquarius, and we've really been feeling the power of Pluto grinding over that final degree of Capricorn, getting us to really dig into what has been in the shadows, confront some of the things that maybe it's easier to ignore, not have to look in the shadows, and so on and so forth. But then with the shift of Pluto into Aquarius, that very, very 0 degrees, very beginning of Aquarius, we have the potent Aquarian energy, and that transition from Capricorn to Aquarius brings us from essentially what might feel like being in the limitations, right? Being in the metaphorical jail cell where you are trapped by the limitations that surround you and the things that will not allow you to go beyond the boundaries, the barriers, whatever is creating a structure, but also getting in the way. Right, in the way of freedom, in the way of movement, in the way of fresh air and new possibilities. And so with the shift of Pluto into Aquarius, we have this new energy, this sense of freedom, of connecting to what does it feel like to actually be released from those bonds, moving beyond the boundaries or getting out of the metaphorical jail cell, right? Getting past the bars that have been holding you back. And I think a lot of it feels like we end up feeling like we don't know how to move, right? We have this freedom, we have this fresh air, but we're so used to being limited. We are so used to having those boundaries and restrictions and limitations that we don't know how to move freely just yet, and you think about an animal who gets liberated from a cage and maybe keeps pacing back and forth the same area, that because that's what they know how to do, right? That's their comfort zone, that's what we get used to. And so thinking about how we have how we also must work with the energy of freedom. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What will it bring? What is possible? And so those are a lot of the questions that we're going to be looking deeper into in 2025 and beyond. 2025, again, is going to be our first full year of Pluto in Aquarius. And so it's the beginning, right? We've already begun in many ways, but this is really diving in a little deeper, having more time with the Aquarian energy. And so what do we want, right? It starts with, what if we had this freedom, what would we do with it? What would it look like? How would we move? How would we make decisions? And so starting by thinking that way, and as you especially think about your meditating on this transition from 2024 and having a new beginning with 2025, having this opportunity to reflect on what, we've talked a lot here on this channel about what's important to you, what brings meaning to your life, what do you want, and letting that be the starting place. You don't have to know how you're going to achieve it. And that is the beauty of the Aquarian energy, is that things can shift very quickly. And so it's more about being set up for being there at the right time and the right place, and being clear about who you are, and having thought it through for yourself, so that when you find yourself in a moment or a situation where you need to show up, you need to say something, you need to establish what freedom looks like to you, that being prepared ahead of time can really make a difference. So thinking about what you want, how you would use freedom, if it were to show up, and what, as those possibilities come in, that they may not look like what you thought they would look like. The vision for the future that you have may not look the way you thought it would look, but does that mean it's not there or you can't have it? Well, I think that the jury is still out. I think we are still very much in a creative process. We have in many ways dredged up an awareness, confrontation with some of the deeper truths, some of the stuff that has been hanging out in the shadows that we haven't wanted to confront or look at or deal with. And so we have the opportunity to do that. What will that look like? What will we do with it? That part's what is up to us. So so bringing it back to the here and now and the Happy New Year part, we do have the shift of the moon from Capricorn into Aquarius just after the new year begins. So again, it depends on your time zone, but the moon goes into Aquarius at 2:49 a.m. Pacific time. So that's where I am, and New Year happens here just under 3 hours before the moon shifts into Aquarius. And of course, if you are on the East Coast, that shift of the moon into Aquarius will be 5:49 a.m. If you're in Europe or other time zones, it will be a little, it depends, right? You have to adjust for your own time zone. But regardless, for most of us, it is on the 1st when the moon goes into Aquarius. And so the moon is here bringing us that vibe. It's saying, well, one thing it's doing is it's joining up with Pluto, right? And so, so this intense, potent, powerful energy could be really up for us to get a glimpse, get a peek at what is possible, what is a deeper truth, what is important, what is the mission here? Like what are we up to? What are we doing? and if what makes the hard stuff worth it, what makes the hard stuff worth it? So as we think about this Plutonian energy, and what shows up, as the moon in early Aquarius joins up with Pluto early on the first day of 2025. Things could feel intense. So, and we have that Mars opposition to Pluto that will be exact on Thursday, Friday, depends on your time zone. So with with all of that, there's some intense energy. Things could kind of bubble up, shake up, pop to the surface, go in unexpected directions. Actions could be impulsive, compulsive. So in other words, be careful about your choices, maybe some impulses you have. Take a deep breath, especially early in the morning on the first, and slow down. Ask yourself what you're doing, why are you doing it, what what is important. And if you do that, this Plutonian energy can be a gift. It can be a gift that helps you access a deeper truth, that helps you connect with power and where your power is. And I think that, we can all think about this in terms of what do we want? What would we use if we had this power, what would we use it for, right? What can we do with our power? And what is Pluto in Aquarius but people power, right? The power of the people, the power of communities, the power of connections and coalitions, and that energy of a higher consciousness that happens when people join up, people come together, and people work together toward a common cause, a vision for the future. So what is your vision for the future, and who could be on board with that vision? Who could you work together with to further that vision and keep you moving and discovering what is possible now that you are free from some of the limitations of the past? And think really creatively about what those limitations might be, because in many ways it may not feel like the limitations have been lifted, but think about how internally you expect to be limited, and whether externally that is actually true, or is that simply an assumption or something you expect based on what you've experienced from the past or what you think is happening, right? So we want to be just really discerning here about where we give up our power, where we reclaim our power, where we step into being more of who we are, because that's where our power lies, and our power to connect with others who care about the same things. So I know this is kind of a lot that I'm trying to encapsulate here in a short period of time, but hopefully it's connecting with you and making sense to you at some level. So let me see if I can sum up here. So essentially, we've got the moon going from Capricorn into Aquarius tonight, or early morning on the first of the year, which is the first day of 2025, 1st of January. And that shift of the moon from Capricorn into Aquarius, and the moon moves pretty quickly. It stays in a sign for a couple of days. So it's mirroring the shift we've been going through in this bigger picture of Pluto moving from Capricorn into Aquarius that's been taking place over the past 2 years. So Pluto takes 2 years to make its full transition from one sign to another, while the moon is just boom, 2 days. Okay, I'm done, moved on. But because the moon is here moving quickly, activating our daily lives, it's mirroring this bigger picture of energetic shift. It's a really potent time to reflect, especially because it's the beginning of the year, to reflect on the power we have to connect with what we want, to imagine future possibilities, to remember that there are ways of moving and freedoms that we have not even discovered yet. Now that we're out of this Capricornian restriction, the limitations and boundaries that Capricorn energy can bring. Capricorn gives a lot of structure and solidness to things, but it also limits how we can move. And so think about the way that an idea moves, right? It pops into your head. It's almost instantaneous. Boom, there it is. So that's how energy can move, and things can shift and change much more quickly than we are used to them changing with Pluto in Capricorn. So the point is, and we will be learning about this as we go through Pluto in Capricorn for the next 19, 20 years. So we've got time to you don't have to figure it all out today, but it is a perfect time to take a deep breath, to honor where you're at, to honor the ways that you are changing, to recognize what it is inside of you that is yearning for something, and to connect with what that vision that you may have for the future really is, and to ask yourself, okay, if I assume that this is the process by which that vision comes into being, how would I act? How would I respond? How would I show up? Who would I be? How would I trust myself? Okay, so we don't know, right? We don't know if this is the path to manifesting the highest vision, you might have deep in your heart and soul, or if this is something different, right? We don't know, but let's assume it is. Let's assume that this is exactly where we need to be to create the vision of the future that we care most deeply about, and ask ourselves, how would I show up? Who would I be? How would I trust myself? How would I live my life if that were true? If this is exactly where I need to be to manifest that highest vision, that highest possibility that my heart and soul want most deeply for myself, for my fellow human beings, for the world around me, for the planet, whatever it is you care about so deeply, how can you be, or how can you think of this moment? And just if you were to assume for a moment that this is the path to getting there, how would you do this, right? How would you show up for 2025 if that were the case? Because the reality is we don't know. It might be, it might not be, but you've got nothing to lose and you have everything to gain, right? Including living your life purpose, stepping into who you're here to be. These are really the bigger picture questions of what's important. Maybe this moment is exactly what you were born for. So anyway, welcome to 2025. Thank you for being with me and following along with me on this wild ride of life. And I will continue to be here with my offerings in 2025, and to show up and to work with what we've got, and to continue the healing work. Because what else is there about life other than continuing to do and live for the things you care about, and the things you love and that your heart wants. So thank you for being here. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2025. And let's do this. All right. Thanks again. I'm Marina Orms. You can learn more about me and how to work with me one-on-one at astrologyheals.com. I've got a Mars retrograde reading offer right now that can really help you unlock what it is you're here to do and how to think about this time right now. Because I can tell you that the Mars retrograde we're in right now, and the Mars opposition to Pluto that's happening this week, second one out of 3, are all telling us, here's how to think about where you are, who you are, and how to greet 2025, how to meet this moment in time, and how to be here for these energies. If you're wondering, so check it out. The link to that special Mars retrograde reading is in the description for this video. It's on my website, astrologyheals.com. And I also, if you haven't seen it yet, have a astrology forecast for 2025. If you want to more on what to expect with the planets and how things are going to unfold in 2025, Check that out, 2025 forecast. And thanks for subscribing. I so appreciate you and all your support. And I will see you next time. Happy New Year and bye for now.